Rick Stroud joining us on loan from the Tampa Bay Times, and I think still in New Orleans, getting ready to fly back to Tampa. Rick, thanks for joining us. What is it about the Saints that gives the Tampa Bay Buccaneers trouble?
You know, Dan, I just think that Sean Payton does such a terrific job. I mean, you look at the record that he has without a quarterback named Drew Brees. I think it's like 13-3. And, you know, they're so well prepared. That's a physical defense that puts a lot of pressure on Tom Brady. Everybody tries to, right? They're successful in doing it. And, you know, 7 of Brady's 17 interceptions since he's been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer have come against the Saints. He hasn't beaten them in the regular season. So clearly you credit the coaching and their players.
I also thought about that quote where he was sort of off the cuff having fun with the Manning brothers, where he's talking about defenses. It's like cars or dogs chasing cars. And I thought, golly, that's the kind of thing that comes back to haunt you. Do you think the same thing?
I did. I thought this is not the week to be talking about dogs chasing cars because, you know, you're the car, and they caught him. So, you know, it just wasn't a good idea. But, you know, Tom is feeling himself in Tampa, as we know. He's found his voice. And in doing that, you know, look, it felt like there was a lot of hubris with the Bucs yesterday. You know, I just felt that they did beat him in the divisional playoff. That was the one that mattered, obviously. Breeze was, you know, a shell of himself and all of that. But this is the team that's won the NFC South 4 years in a row and now has a, you know, sort of a leg up on the head-to-head. So, you know, of all the years in the NFC, if you're going to go to the playoffs, you need to win your division because there's too many good teams, you know, with one loss. And so, you know, they did it last year the hard way, but there were no fans or very few fans on the road. That won't be the case. So it's going to be a battle, I think, all the way to the end with these two teams.
How would you assess Tampa's defense?
Well, I mean, you know, again, they're playing, you know, with a short deck. I mean, they're missing their corners. They hope to get guys like Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy-Bunting back after the bye. This is a much-needed rest for them. You know, Richard Sherman was active, was there just to finish a game if they needed him. So that certainly hurt them on the back end yesterday. You saw that. But I think they made mistakes just of emotion. You know, Devin White can't get, you know, a horse collar penalty. Unfortunately, hurt Jameis Winston on that. Then gets another roughing the passer, you know, and then ends up with a taunting penalty. You know, this team hurts itself. There was one play, you know, where they have an interception in the end zone with Antoine Winfield Jr. He's eating W's in the end zone while the flag's dropping on Will Golston for roughing the passer. I mean, that's just a bad look for a young team that needs to know, you know, sort of how to act. And I just felt like they didn't handle their emotions very well yesterday. And they got to get better at that because they've talked about penalties all year. They cut them out after the Chicago game a year ago, but they're still happening. So, you know, they can't beat themselves. They're a better football team than the Saints. They didn't show it yesterday.
Most threatening team in the NFC to Tampa Bay is who?
Well, if you can't win the division, that's going to be tough. But I would say the best team I've seen, and they got to get healthy, is the Dallas Cowboys. You know, the Rams certainly have the formula because they have some top flight defensive player with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald in that. But I think you can beat them. I look at the Cowboys. If they get their defense together and those guys are healthy offensively with Dak the way he's playing, they're a tough out. I mean, the Bucs, you know, won on opening night by 3. But I like that. I like that football team. There's a lot of good ones in the NFC, and really, I think it's going to be a premium on who wins the division. If you can win your division and get a home game or two, you'll be okay. But let's be honest. If you look at the records, the schedules, I think everything's going through Green Bay, and that's, you know, if the Bucs or anybody else has to go up there, it's likely not going to be a balmy day like it was a year ago, and there'll be more than 9,000 fans with placards banging on the stand. So that's always a tough place to play, and there's just not many teams I think the Packers are going to lose to.
Safe travels, Rick. Always great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
That's Rick Stroud, Tampa Bay Times. Always good to talk to him. Appreciate him joining us from the airport there.